Good evening, friends, and welcome to the official channel of VS Strategic Business Consulting. And first of all, a very happy new year to all, and hope we all have welcomed 2021 for a very good cause, and not just for an individual growth, but concentrating towards a global upliftment in terms of every walks of a life. And have a great new year to all. And continuing with our session in conversation with a thought leader. Today, our guest is a technocrat with a solid business acumen. He has over 2 decades of experience, and in this course of his professional career, he has supported and helped global organizations set their footprint in India, also was instrumental in turning around ailing businesses into a highly profitable and scalable businesses from not just from an Indian operations perspective, but a global perspective. He is a startup enthusiast. He holds a bachelor's in mechanical engineering from Jabalpur and also a master's in business administration from Pune University. Currently, he is supporting a Scottish based technology organization managing its Indian operations as managing director. He's associated with Vidatec, an iOS based, cloud based technology organization, as managing director for India. Let's welcome Mr. Sabyasachi Dutta. Sabyasachi Dutta.
Thank you, Venkatesh.
Welcome, Sabyasachi.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot for accepting my invite and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you as well as to all the people who are watching this live or the recorded version later on across the globe. Happy New Year to all of them.
Fantastic. Okay, to start with the session, Sabyasachi, right now, I would request you to actually give a brief intro about you. Also, mention, how is that a mechanical engineer, right, moved into a packaging based organization, logistic based organization, and then became a technocrat and then was instrumental in building certain ailing businesses into a profitable organization. How did you see this journey, and how did you actually traverse through this entire path? Explain your journey. If you could brief this journey, I think it could be an extremely inspiring as well as an important thing for the viewers.
Oh, thanks a lot, Venkatesh. That was so nice of you. Truly honored. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever the people are watching from. Before I proceed, Venkatesh, answering your question, let me put up a small caveat or a disclaimer. I wish to state whatever I'm going to talk about during this session is going to be strictly my personal views and not that of any previous or current employer. Okay, having said that, let me take your question immediately. I'm a Bengali, born in West Bengal, educated, as you rightly said, in Jabalpur. It's a government engineering college. I did my mechanical engineering from there. Thereafter, I did my MBA. The first job that I got was from the campus. I started my career, as you rightly said, from a packaging company, and the career that I chose, in fact, can't be said as chosen career, but a selected career. I would say I was absolutely raw and fresh, and the companies that came to my campus, there were quite a few options, and I selected the one that I found the best at that moment. So it wasn't kind of a study or detailed research has gone behind that to select a company, but I chose the one that appeared the best. And having said that, I would also say it suited the person that I am. I am a mechanical engineer, and I felt a manufacturing environment will help me to cut my teeth and understand the tricks of the trade, so to say, what goes on in a manufacturing setup. Because the knowledge that you get from campus through your books, uh, as I later explored and I later understood, is vastly different than what happens in real life. So that's how I started my career. I've changed multiple industries. I have traveled across tier one, tier two, tier three cities to say nooks and corners of this country. I earned about 30, 40 odd countries globally. Started my career from packaging, then moved to consumer durable, then to consultancy and logistics, as you said, then digital and IT now. But I must admit that wherever I have worked or whichever company I have been in, they have all helped me to uh, um, kind of fine tune my personality and give overall a kind of a rounded shape to what I was as a kind of a fresher to what I am today. So it has been a quite a journey, and as we progress, we can talk more about that.
Beautiful, fantastic. Because there are subtle some questions which I would certainly, circle back to your experience. Okay, going to our next point. We know that every destination, right, be it a goal or a purpose, every destination has a specific path which is chosen, or in your case, selected, right? So there is a chosen path and you have an optional paths too, right? So there are different paths. Now tell me, how did you choose a particular path, and what are those aspects that you considered while choosing a path? Because looking at your experience and after listening to you right now, you have traversed across different domains and sectors and industries, right? Forget about the geographies for a moment. 40 geographies, okay. For a moment, let's leave it. Globally, we are one. So, from the industry perspective, if you have traversed so much, you would have actually acquired a lot of knowledge. You would have learned from the scratch and then utilized your existing knowledge or your exposure, and then came out with your perspectives, how you looked at things, right? Now my question to you is, what was the path that you chose and why did you choose that path? Did you have options? If so, how did you and why did you choose your current path?
Okay, so I'll take that question a little back, and I would say from my school days uh, to the first job that I had. So I did my why did I chose science stream and not arts and commerce? Well, it was basically because I had a knack for science first of all. So and my parents thought that the career could be as normal with any Indian parent, that career in science or particularly maybe in if you do engineering, so to say, in those days, I'm taking you back 20 odd years behind, the future could be brighter. So that's how I got into the science stream. So that's one why I left commerce and arts is kind of basically parents' decision, not my personal one. Now come to why I chose mechanical and why not say computer science or why not civil engineering, so to say, is again a kind of a decision that was partly driven by my knack of kind of where I see myself, what I need to do or what I can do in a better way. Plus, I would say how I fared in my academics. So while we chose we guys chose mechanical, so to say, in our engineering stream and left civil or electronics is primarily because of due to these two factors: how well you scored in first and second semester. We used to had 8 semesters, out of which first and second semesters used to be for everybody, every semester, every subject. So you have to study everything. So after the second semester, you look at the cumulative score where you stand, and based on that, on from third semester onwards, you take the path that you have decided or you have chosen. And over there, the decision came to the student, plus the academics used to be the kind of a supporting help for you. And I took mechanical because that's what I liked, and most of the guys those days used to feel that mechanical is the evergreen stream. It's never going to go out of fashion. So today you might be seeing there's not much of interest in civil, and there's a lot of interest in computer science or IT. But those days, or say 20 years behind me, so if I take you to 60s or 70s, civil engineering used to be on top. So that's how the situation have changed. I would say in last 40, 50 years of India's journey. But mechanical is a stream that has always remained evergreen. So that's how I came into mechanical engineering. So now I have crossed two hurdles, so to say, answering your question. Now, how did I go to the company that I started working with? Is simply because I got the job in this company, which appeared to be the best at that moment. And during those days, any job was much better than having no job. So the moment you land up with a job that used to be considered something fantastic, so you need to grab it, and you cannot let it go and say, oh, consultancy is my interest. Okay, so maybe it may be consultancy may be your choice, but you are not getting a break in consultancy, so what do you do? So that's how I entered into a manufacturing company. Slowly I explored many other aspects, I added on to my personality. I did lots of additional courses, I attended seminars, workshops, whatnot. And then slowly, as the opportunities came, I kept on shifting and tried to explore so many new avenues, which you look at, if you look at my CV, probably will not get reflected. So that's how things slowly evolved. And I would say, Venkatesh, it's not kind of a decision that I have taken by design, so to say. I would say these happened all by itself, a quirk, fate, I would say, or it just happened. It just happened. And sometime I found attracted to a position, I applied. If I look at my previous job, I just applied for a job which appeared good to me. I didn't fit the bill, so to say, to perfectly fit into the job as was the description. But I aced it, and that's how I got selected, and that's how I've changed industry. So answering your question, it happened partly by design and partly by my willpower or by my own abilities and qualities. That's how I kind of successfully kind of convince the people that, okay, here is a guy who's going to do the job, so why not? And that's how I have changed industry and hopped companies, so to say, and everywhere. So I just need to add that whichever company I have worked for or the industry I have worked in have always been very encouraging and very helpful, and they have added on to my personality and helped me evolve as a person overall. So those have been the positive attributes that I have gained from different companies I have worked till date.
Beautiful, beautiful. Actually, this reminds me of a person whom I consider you as my mentor. He says he is a connoisseur of life. He says there's no point you running behind something, whatever is coming to you, pick that up and then try to become the best within it. Automatically, there's a path which is carved.
Yeah.
Probably this is an example which is synchronizing with it. But Sabyasachi, let me ask you this one. It's not going to be an easy task, obviously, because when there is a chosen path, probably you're ready or you would have planned. But if it's not a chosen path and you have taken a path which has come your way, and then you try to mold yourself and build yourself into where you are, and certainly there would have been a lot of ups and downs, a lot of challenges, a lot of apprehensions and confusions or whatnot. For in a simplistic way, let's consider it to be challenges, right? What were the two biggest challenges that you faced in your journey, and how did you cope up and come out of those challenges and made them into opportunities? Certainly it's
Mm,
not going to be an easy thing moving from one domain to the other. Even today, when the organization asks about X years of experience without even knowing whether the technology has come so many years back.
true.
So how were you successful or made your way moving into multiple industries and ace them? What were the two major challenges and how did you cope up with
Okay. I would say, Venkatesh, first was and has been till date, I would say, and probably it's going to stay with me forever, is not to fall for temptation. So I resist and kind of stay away from monetary kind of attraction, or people who try to lure you into a kind of an assignment which you probably think is not going to be too exciting. So
it?
there has always been an attraction or kind of a inherent feeling, I would say, for me to not get tempted anyway, to move to a
Mhm,
competitor and do the same thing that you're doing in company X currently, and probably move to company Y and do the same thing just to earn a few lakhs more. So
mhm,
I'm not that kind of person. If I'm doing, say, into say logistics business, and I'm with company X and I've moved to company Y, who's going to pay me 5 lakhs more, and ask me to do the same thing and meet the same guys and same handle the same territories, do the same kind of business, then what face do I have to meet the same guys and say, okay, yesterday I was selling company X and now today here I am, here's a new card, and I'm here to promote company Y? No, that's not the kind of person I am. And probably it may also be because of the impression that gets created across the table the moment they see you. Okay, till yesterday you were there, today you are here, and maybe tomorrow you move to company Z. Then so X, Y, Z. The alphabets may fall short if you are going to hop within the same industry. So that's one. I would say I have always stayed away from lure to move within the same industry. I have never jumped within the industry. I have always changed industry. So that's one. Second, I would say, Venkatesh, is that I believe there comes a time in your career where you notice you are not growing anymore. So there comes a kind of a stagnation, and people, coaches like you, often refer to it as a kind of a career plateau. So years are passing by, and you are not growing. So the graph is almost like a stagnant flat curve you are noticing about your personal growth, and that's where this career plateau makes you think, where are you heading now? So I also faced this kind of predicament, and at times I felt that am I really growing? What I used to do say 2 years ago and what I'm doing today, and if the answer was no, that I really am not growing, and that's where this kind of thought used to come in me, and still there, it's there, still there, that I need to grow constantly, and that excitement to do something new, something exciting, something better, or explore something which you have not explored before, has been the second factor for me, I would say, in a way, the motivating factor or the guiding factor to change job. I'll give you a small example, Venkatesh, on this excitement factor. I used to work for a company in which the industry used to work on very kind of a fuzzy credit term. So it was a manufacturing company. So I manufacture products. The companies, the clients buy them, and they never used to pay for it. So getting the payment out of your customer used to be a Herculean task, and it used to be like an unending trap that you supply a fresh lot, take payment for the previous lot, and that used to be very fuzzy and very undefined, and people used to kind of really get scared to do business in that kind of environment. Now move to a situation where I changed industry and moved to a new company and a new industry altogether, obviously. Again, a manufacturing domain company, mind you. So here is a factory that's producing the goods, and here are the set of clients who are going to buy them. But in this company and in this industry, the payment term, the one that I'm harnessing on at this moment, was so different that I could not imagine initially that what kind of a radical shift is this, in that here the client is, along with the purchase order, giving you the payment upfront. So so you take the payment, and here's the purchase order, then the payment gets realized, and then the material will go out of your factory. Now this is a kind of chalk and cheese scenario. Both of them appear same, whitish, but the behavior and the ingredients are so different, and so that was kind of a shock for me too, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed, and then I understood that, wow, there exists a different world which I never knew before. So both the companies and both the parameters look same, and the environment looks same. The manufacturing company selling to consumers who are going to consume them, but the behavior, massive. So that's these are the things that helped me kind of understand as I change job, and I understood, oh, there's a world that exists beyond what I have been living through all till date. So these are kind of, I would say, a couple of factors that always help me to understand and learn so many new things as I change jobs.
This is a pretty interesting one, what you've just explained, because the moment you see an operational paradigm shift in a manner, right? When you have seen both the extremes, probably in the third industry, you could probably try and use both and see which would maneuver or which would work appropriately for that given scenario.
Sure, sure.
Beautiful, beautiful. In fact, that's something, it really it's extremely important, because I remember in one of my previous interviews, while I was interviewing, a guest. He's a pretty senior leadership coach. He's in fact the CEO of Grid International. I'll take his name. His name is Hari Menon. What he used to tell is, organization, if they want to do something different, and if the result expected is something different, and they do the same thing continuously, then they're not going to do anything different. They're going to get the same result.
Absolutely.
So he used to give a beautiful analogy to it, running on a treadmill, and you keep running, you sweat, and you're damn tired, but you're still there. But if
Same
you
way.
really need to run, you have to run, and you have to do something really different. Fantastic, beautiful. Now let me take a slight shift into the questioning mode now. Now, this particular specific point, it's not something new, which everyone have been experiencing in the last close to an year.
Mhm.
But I'll slightly change the question. Probably, we have spoken and we have heard a lot about the pandemic. So I want to ask this question. Certainly, 30, 40 years back, we've never dreamt, none of us would have dreamt that the world or across walks of life is going to come to a standstill, irrespective of what you are and what you do, right?
Mm.
But this pandemic did that. So every industry did have certain setbacks, and everyone had some kind of a setback or some kind of I would say disappointing moment or not so expected experience. Having said that, I think it also had a positive, state to it. Now, there were many things which across the industries or across any walk of life, they would have never thought about it to try or never had the guts, lack of a better word, I would use the word guts, to try a new thing, right? And move out of the so-called current normal at that point in time. But this pandemic helped us to think beyond that, not just on the business models, not just because of the changes in the technology or changes in the generations, but across generation, across technologies, everything. I think there was some kind of a shift. So there
Mm.
was some positive side to it. Now, as you have worked in multiple industry, you would have certainly seen a lot of things. Now, as a technocrat and as a leader, if I have to ask you, what what is that positive thing that you have probably noticed because of this pandemic, and how do you see that?
It's absolutely true what you said that nobody ever imagined that 2020 we are going to how we started 2020. Let's think of that. It started just like a normal year for us, and then Jan Feb went normal, and I would say March onward it kind of we started getting to hear about it, and April, May, June onwards, God knows what happened. And then we found ourselves that we are in December, and there's a ray of hope that we have got the vaccine in place, and hopefully 2021 will be much better. So nobody imagined. You're absolutely right on that. Having said that, I would say I have studied these 7, 8 months in kind of great depth. I would say I studied in detail and tried to find out as many positives as possible. And I'll try to narrate about 3, 4 different positives that I feel has emerged out of this COVID situation. First, I would say is the adaptability, how we adapted. You talked about the new normal, and what I would say. We never thought of that how the situation is going to be once the lockdown, or complete lockdown, so to say, was effected, and then how quickly we adapted, and how we kept the show running, so to say, despite all everywhere everything was kind of a shut down, standstill, and yet we kind of continued to deliver the things as best as possible. There was no travel, no physical meetings possible, lifestyles changed, so to say, routines went haywire. But yet if you kind of turn the clock a little bit, say 6, 7 months, yet somehow things went as best as possible, as best you can imagine. So that's what I would say. The first positive that came out of this COVID situation was how we humans across the globe adapted. That adaptability kind of came staring at you, and everybody kind of pulled up their socks, and they felt that yes, this is the time to adapt, otherwise you will perish. So that's the first positive that I saw out of this COVID situation. Second, I would say, is the technical innovations that we humans, people across the globe, tried to do and brought into the kind of everyday life, so that the boredom within the four walls will not kill your spirit, so to say. So there have been multiple, I would say, innovations, different simple hacks and ideas came up, and those were kind of so innovative, and they really at times they really kind of startled you that wow, we never thought it like this before, and I don't know, we could have never seen them before. Had this COVID not been there, we could have continued with the normal life, and we would have never imagined so many new things can help us and help us do better. Education is one, I would say. Look at the way we are imparting education, and we imparted the exams we are conducting. The things are going little, maybe things are a little delayed, but at least things are going. They're still moving. The admissions, the college, school, they're still doing. Kids are still studying. So I would say people used to say that necessity is the mother of invention, and here we saw those things are happening right in front of our eyes just because of the COVID situation. So that's another, I would say, second point that I could think of. Third positive I could talk about is how we reconnected with people. We kind of lost touch with people. We never thought of the importance of staying connected to people, and how important the human relations and the value are, and why networking and contacting, and or to so to say, just to stay connected with your old friends, relatives, was so important. We kind of started ignoring them. Now once that COVID hit us badly, and with no medication, no vaccine anywhere to see, you never know, it might be a call for you tomorrow, so who knows. So that was the darker side of life. And then you thought of the urge, or the need to kind of get reconnected and check who is doing who's how well, how well you are placed. So that's another aspect, I would say, Venkatesh, that came up very well, and in a positive way. This is a very positive aspect, that we started ignoring the human value, which has now taken a kind of a front step again. And lastly, I would say one important thought that has come up is, to live and to sustain, we need to collaborate. The collaboration has taken a giant leap, I would say. So people are now sharing resources, extending helping hand. The moment you see somebody struggling, I'm not particularly focusing on business. It may be any walk of life. I'll just give you, talking of business, I'll just give you a couple of examples. A Japanese company Takeda kind of shook hands with Microsoft. Now, these are kind of unimaginable kind of a permutation you can think of, had there been no COVID. And these two companies tied up just for some kind of a plasma medication that they were thinking of, and they kind of helped each other. Another example that I can think of is in Germany, McDonald's kind of helped Aldi. It's a grocery chain, and this got highlighted very well in most of the journals, and media published it and highlighted it very well. And they started calling it talent exchange. Now, Aldi is a grocery chain that was in dire need of manpower. I mean, smart manpower who could handle the chain, because there was certain urge and certain need that came up, that Aldi was facing, and they was short of qualified manpower. And McDonald, on the other hand, had to shut down, I would say, all of a sudden, and there were people who were facing redundancy. So these people, in a way, McDonald's handed over or tied up with Aldi, and they started working in Aldi. And that's how these two companies helped each other. So people got job. McDonald's didn't have to give pink slips, so to say. Aldi got qualified manpower in quick time, and they could help, and they could come out of the situation very well. And now once the things start to kind of come back to old normalcy, as I said, then the guys could either stay back with LD or come back to McDonald's as they wish. So this is another example of how well we collaborated during this COVID situation. And these are all innovations we could have never thought of had there been no COVID before.
I completely agree on this, because we used to talk about collaboration a lot, more from a phrase or probably a word, but the intrinsic meaning of it and how it actually impacts in a much positive and a scalable manner was something which was visualized and witnessed during the COVID. And it's because of COVID that we were able to do that. In fact, I personally, what I feel is, anyone or any company, if they're talking about being ahead of the competition, right, or with the competitive spirit, I don't think they're going to have any kind of future in the coming future. Because the moment we talk about having the competitive spirit, without our knowledge, I think that is some kind of a value which we're going to, uh, I would probably say, percolate down our organization, and that's going to become a culture. The moment we get into that competition, I think we are going to lose the actual big cake, right? It is collaboration, and it is going to be collaboration which is going to really work. You call it a strategic tie-up or partnerships or whatever you want to call it, but it is collaboration which is going to be what beautiful. Now, coming back to this, now moving ahead of with this question, slightly taking this question ahead, with the current advent of technological changes, and we talk about artificial intelligence, we talk about VRs and robotics, and a lot of advancements from the technology front, and also we see a lot of changes in the political front, as well as probably in the regulatory aspects and the requirements, as well as from the changes in the business models itself because of this, and probably a kind of a pandemic that we recently faced. So every business and every business leader, they are facing and they will be facing a frequent unforeseen changes or dynamics from now, right? Not that they never faced it in the past, but more so it was not that frequent, but now it's going to be very frequent. Now, considering this as a leader, what are those things that you would do or plan to meet and maneuver through such kind of frequent changes, and how do you plan and do it? What gets into your mind? How do you do that?
Hmm. I would say the changes that you are talking about could be expected or could be more unforeseen. So if the changes are what you have planned, or what is there, what was there in your business plan, or what you thought of is going to be you want to do scheduled in your program, then that's fine. That's how you follow the path that you have decided. Normally, most of the organizations have kind of 3 year, 5 year business plans ready. So you know what changes you are going to you're planning to do. And at times there are some changes that can be sudden and drastic, like what we saw due to COVID. And these could be very humbling. This could be, I would say, a territory which makes you look inward more, I would say. And and evolve not only the team, but along with the team yourself. And over here, I would say, what I see, that the traditional leaders, as probably that has been in theory, or in bookish way of looking at leaders. We used to have three kinds of leaders: authoritarian, delegative, and participative. Those are morphing. Those leaders are morphing more into kind of a servant leader, I would say. I would say today you as a leader, you need to be beyond what leader with a stick used to do, say 30, 40 years ago. And absolutely not today possible. Those kinds of things are beyond one's imagination. So what I believe, like, as a leader, it's just not a rank. You have to see your leadership as an opportunity to serve, not just the organization that you're leading, but the people around you. Organization is made up of people, so you have to take care of them. You have to share power, I would say, and drive engagement, bring them on board, and kind of take collective decisions, and rather than imposing your decision, take them on board and move together. Another thing I would say is that you cannot kind of find the answer in numbers anymore, because if you look at numbers, Q3, Q4, probably most of the companies are in red today. So whereas in a traditional way of looking things, that could be kind of a warning bell for you. But if you are going to look at due to the COVID situation, the situation that's going to emerge is going to be much different, much better. And you have to look at the overall reasons behind it, and see how you can grow, and look at the development aspect. You have to more or less understand and see how team could add and give inputs to your decision making as well. So there are a lot of aspects, Venkat, I would think that needs to be kind of brought into play today, before you could, just because of your position or your rank, could impose on the organization or on the team. It has to be more collaborative, more hands together, all the inputs as best as possible, give the ideas, give the suggestions, and let's sail together. That kind of a thought has to emerge today.
Okay, now you actually don't take me wrong, but you're forcing me to ask you a question. Okay, a leading question on this. You are a managing director now. Okay, now let's consider whether you are a investor or an owner or a CEO or whatever it is, right? What is that one prominent thing? Is it the revenue, profits, market capitalization, shareholder valuation, and shareholder profits? Because there are people who are going to trust you and invest in your idea, right? Or in your organization. Now, what is that one thing which is of utmost importance?
Well, I think you missed employees, Venkat. I didn't hear the word employees in the
I
question.
didn't, I didn't ask that. Okay.
Okay. No, jokes aside, I would say rather, I would say, Venkat, employees come uh, top for me. They are very important for me. So if I get a sharply focused, motivated team that's willing to go beyond the call of the duty, the performance of not just theirs but the company as a whole will definitely be good. There's no doubt about that. That's what I believe in. And if my company with the team around me is performing well beyond what is expected of their KRAs, then I believe the revenue and the profit and all those things that you're talking about will go north. And obviously, if I'm a public limited company, the shareholder value is going to get enhanced automatically. So if I do reverse engineering and take a step back to everything that's going to happen or it's happening, I come back
Mhm.
to where I started from, is that my for me employees are more important, the most important, I would say. And leaders should be kind of the one who's going to just kind of help things evolve and take this beyond. So instead of guiding them, or instead of dictating to them, I should be more of a kind of a guide and help them give their best as best as possible to the organization and for themselves. And over here, I would just like to quote. As I recall, a famous quote by Sir Richard Branson, and if I recall correctly, he said that clients do not come first, employees come first. And if you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. So just to impress on the point that I believe in, that's my absolutely my personal thought, Venkatesh. This is what I believe in. Everything will be in place, will be taken care of, if I could take care of my employees as human being. They are all humans first, and then the relationship will emerge and evolve slowly as we traverse. That's what I believe in, Venkatesh.
I don't know how to really appreciate, because considering the answer to this question and the previous question, it was very, very, very impressive and pretty logical answer that you said, and I completely agree with what Richard Brosnan said. But and I'll tell you, there's a reality to it. Today, if you typically, I'm sure you would have gone through the news in India. If you typically look at, Tata Sons have actually become the highest or the biggest organization, even beyond the government organizations were publicly listed. So it clearly talks about the importance of culture and values and how you take care of your employees, right? So it's a clear point that you have actually substantiated. Fantastic. Now, taking that question a bit further, right? A bit further, because you spoke about your employees, you spoke about the things. Now, we clearly understand, for running any business or any business operations, talent is one important thing. I'm not talking about headcount, or I'm not talking about an individual employee, but as a talent, right? It's pretty important, which is suiting to it. What is your strategy in building the talent? Do you believe in building the talent or buying the talent? Bonding or buying?
Hmm. Uh, Over years, Venkatesh, what I have learned, or I have uh, kind of understood, is I believe in a mix of both. It's a kind of a horses for courses, as they say. So many times you notice that your in-house talent's not enough, and that's when you need to look at external sources. And
Mm-hmm.
I strongly, if you ask me personally, I strongly stress on this point that we need to look first in-house. I strongly believe in promoting and encouraging talent from within. But if you notice there's a visible shortage, or there's a visible gap, and you face urgency, then there's no way out than to buy, uh, or rather bring in talent from outside, as you asked in this question. So I would say I believe in a mix of both. but the priority is to in-house talent first. But if there's a shortage, I'll give you an example. If there's a shortage, then I'll look for some kind of resources outside. I'll give you an example. There are quite a few companies who are into apps and apps development in the industry in which I am currently in. And there are basically two versions, basically Android versus iOS. Now,
Hmm.
if you are focusing, or if your company's strength lies more in Android, and then there's a sudden need for a kind of a iOS developer or iOS business probably you're going to get, and you're falling short of talent, then what do you do? Obviously, you have to convince your team that, look, we guys are not good enough in Android, and we need to get some external sources or external talent to bring in from outside, maybe on hire, or maybe on contract, or maybe just to wait through this sudden need, we need to get in guys from outside. And believe me, Venkatesh, if such is the scenario, uh, people will not, there won't be any kind of a negative or ill will, and the people will not take it negatively, and they will appreciate, yes, that's the reason why we are hiring or bringing in talent from outside. I'll give you another example. You talked about Tata Motors. I'm not going to take name, but right now there's a lot of stress on electric vehicles.
Hmm.
And I believe not many companies have expertise and talent in electric vehicles. And there's a global kind of a, right now, very high demand and shortage of talent to kind of teach you or kind of guide you how to do or how to make electric vehicles. I'm talking in a very kind of a non-jargon language, in a very crude way. So what do you do? How do you come out of this situation? Obviously, you are going to poach and bring in talent from outside. And believe me, if such is the scenario, no organization will face any kind of a negative wave within the organization if they could explain it properly. And that's how I have seen, and that's what I have experienced. You need to be as transparent as possible, and let the situation be explained properly, that this is the reason and this is the demand for which I am bringing in talent. But coming back to your question, at the end, I would still believe, and I still say, my primary focus or my priority is to promote the in-house talent first. And if there's a shortage, then I'll bring in talent from outside. As I said, horses for courses, as they say.
Okay. Let me take the lenience of probably taking it a bit further, right? Hope you don't mind on that, right? Say, we spoke about collaboration, right?
Right?
Just probably a few minutes back. In that current scenario where you have explained, what is the possibility or what could be the chances if we try to collaborate? In the same example that you said, if an organization is pretty strong in Android and they have got a requirement on iOS, probably from their long lasting client, but they will have a competitor who's probably an expert in iOS. So, is there a possibility where they could collaborate instead of looking at a competitive spirit and exchange the talent the way McDonald's and probably this it did? Is there such kind of a possibility? Because
Uh,
there again, the collaboration builds in, it builds the relationship, and there is a unique way of working on that. So, how do you think about that model?
it's possible. It's very much possible, but it depends on which market you are in, Venkatesh. I don't expect this kind of situation to evolve in near future in India, at least. There's still this kind of a sense of secrecy or a kind of a competitiveness that prevails within the industry and amongst players too. So I won't foresee even not, kind of ignoring the size, a big player kind of taking help of a small player to come out of a tricky situation. No, I don't foresee that happening in Indian context, at least. But I don't know. I don't have a kind of a crystal ball in front of me to kind of imagine how things will evolve tomorrow. But you never know if this kind of situation could happen, could evolve in days to come, for sure. But in near future, Venkatesh, if you ask me my personal opinion, I don't foresee it happening, at least in the few industry where there's heavy kind of a serious competition prevailing. But in the industry which is in kind of a doldrums, say hospitality or travel industry, which I'm not part of. But what I could understand, there could be possibility of collaboration, just so that to help each other out, come out of this tricky situation that you talked about. That could emerge, that could happen in those kind of industries. But if you ask me of the industry that I am currently in, or the little knowledge that I have had in my previous companies, I don't foresee that's happening in the near future, in India at least. Maybe once it starts taking shape in the Western world, things could percolate down to India as well, like the collaboration that you're talking about. But something innovative happening in India, don't get me wrong. Personally, I don't feel it's happening in India. It's going to happen.
Okay, because I see that as a huge possibility. However, let's get to the next point, because otherwise we'll be shifting the focus. But nice to hear your point. There is a possibility, but you don't see that in few industries. Perfect. Now, taking this talent a bit further, right?
Yeah.
Considering the current demographic dividend, I know offline we have spoken about demographic dividend a lot, so I'm just probably taking that point. Considering the demographic dividend of India, the grand thing, personally, I think it's a golden period, right?
Hmm.
It's probably, I don't consider the Gupta's period to be golden. I consider the next 10 years to be the golden, 10, 15 years to be the golden. So don't take me wrong, I'm not negating the history, but I think it's more about the future, and next 10, 15 years is going to be a golden period as for me. So, as a business leader who have spread your, I would say, influences or your business operations across the global diaspora, right? What is that you see, or in is this the time for India to probably consider growing into a global leadership position in the business diaspora, considering both economy as well as the business operations? Is this the time that India needs to concentrate to, I'll not use the word capture, but probably enter the global leadership uh, position overall?
Well, that's an aspiration for everybody. I would say, even me. I would love to see we becoming a permanent member of UN. Why not? We have been aspiring for so long. We have become we have got just a couple of years now as a new member of UNSC. So we have got 2 years there. But why not a permanent member? Sure. We have got huge talent base. There's a massive people. There's a huge lot of people who can talk good English, fluent English. That's a kind of a business prerogative which is becoming kind of a buzzword for us to kind of explore and enter into. You name the country and we are there. So why not? These are going to help us out in days to come. Having said that, Venkatesh, I still believe that there's a lot of gap, I would say, in the guys that we are churning out of our colleges, and what the industry is demanding. So that we need to take care of. We also need to understand this demographic dividend that you're talking about. The cream will get absorbed come what may. COVID, no COVID, there's no issue of looking for good decent jobs for the guys who are the best of the lot. But what about those guys who are not so good? So what I could understand is that there's about 12 crore people we are adding every year to our workforce. Now that's a huge number. So we need to think of giving them proper, decent, formal sector jobs as best as possible. I don't believe everybody will get job for that matter in the formal sector. So that's where the Skill India initiative of the government of India that's being enforced for now quite some years now is going to play a huge role. I also believe in Venkatesh. There's a new term that has come into play. It is called as new collar. So we have
Mm-hmm.
heard about the blue collar, we have heard about the white collar, and there's a new term that has been coined by former IBM CEO Virginia Rometty, and she coined this term, which is called as new collar. So new collar workers don't have the 4 year degree that you have in hand. Often we see in India, and then you don't have a good job. So you have the degree, but you are not kind of employable. So what do you do with those kind of guys? Those degrees are of don't carry much of weightage, don't carry much of importance. So what she said is that you need to look at those kind of guys more of uh, that's been demand within the industry. Different industries are looking for. I'll just give you an example. You look at the healthcare sector. There are a lot of demand for MRI operators, dental machine operators, pathology lab assistants, paramedical staff. These are much in demand, and this is healthcare is a booming sector. So there's a lot of jobs over there, and you don't need a mechanical engineer or civil engineer for that. Uh, uh, ITI vocational training could impart that kind of knowledge for you. And moment you do that, you are employable. You could see a ready job waiting for you instead of doing a mechanical engineering or a civil engineering 4-year degree course and then looking for a job. So that's where the gap is. So why not shun this and look for opportunities there? So this is what the new collar opportunities that she's talking about, and that's what I believe we could surely look into. Mind you, one important factor I just recently read, and this is CMI data I'm quoting. In December, we touched again a pretty high unemployment percentage. That's about 9.06% was the December figure. November was 6.51. So between this November and December last year, the unemployment percentage rose up. This is much better than what happened after immediate lockdown in April, when the unemployment percentage in India touched almost about 23%, and there was a kind of a huge furor because of that. But that has come down. But definitely, I believe, talking about the thought of yours, I agree. We have got a decent demographic dividend, so to explore and so to kind of reap advantage out of it. But we also cannot and should not ignore the other factors which could kind of cause some kind of upheavals within the society. But what the kind of person I am, I strongly believe in the positive aspect of life. So I believe if we could take care of the small factors here and there a little bit, the future is obviously very bright for India. I agree with you. The future looks very bright, but we have to be kind of aware of where are we standing today, and what could go wrong if we don't take care of minor aspects here and there. So that those things I need to stress on, and I believe we need to focus on more seriously if we are going to look into next decade as Indian decade.
I strongly believe, and probably I might sound a bit super optimistic here. I trust that it is going to be that way. The next 10, 15 years, it's going to be really good. Yes, there are going to be a lot of challenges, a lot of things, and a lot of, I would say, more than apprehensions, I would say a lot of things that we need to probably build from various facets, but I think it's an opportunity and we need to do it. Fantastic. Okay, taking it a bit further, right? As we are close to the time, so for
Mhm,
benefit of time, what I
mhm,
would do is we know that currently the Generation Z have started their professional career. Right? They just started. They just probably 1 year, two
right,
years. They just
right.
started. And we have millennials working. I'm using a typical HR jargon right now, a business jargon, but I think it makes some sense here. Uh, Normally, I'm not a guy who uses jargon, but it makes some sense here. That's why I wanted to use this. So, Generation Z and millennials, they might dominate in every walks of life in the next 6 years, 5, 6 years. You would see a lot of, your business diaspora, or any walks of life, you would see them, be it on the leading side or at the consuming side or at the manufacturing side, producing side, or probably completely transforming or making a complete shift. These kids, they have a different broad knowledge and skill sets and the talent, and their thought process is completely different. So whether we agree or not, whether we want it or not, this is reality that they are going to be the future leaders in every walks of life, right? Now, as a seasoned leader, what would your advice and suggestion be for upcoming future leaders? And majorly, mind you, these kids, they believe, and they believe in the societal and social development. They believe in their self along with the social commitment, and they want to grow and uplift in a collaborative manner, and that's their thing. There is a report which has been submitted and which is recently published.
Mhm.
So what would your advice or suggestion be for the future leaders?
Um, can we make it a plural? I would say I've got quite a few advices.
Go ahead. Good.
Okay, because giving one advice could not kind of justify the thought that I have in my mind right now. So I would like to say quite a few bits to the younger generation that's going to be leading the country and the world tomorrow. Number one, I would say, is have passion, passion in whatever you do, and that could come naturally out because you cannot fake passion, as they say. So whatever vocation you are in, uh, try to do justice to that, and work with passion. That passion should be reflected in the results that automatically will come out of it. So if you are doing something with in a half-hearted manner, it's not going to yield results. So have passion. That's one. Second, I would say, is never compromise on integrity.
Hmm.
Uh, there could be a lot of temptation, as I talked about previously some time ago. I have come across, and so maybe others as well. So don't compromise on integrity. Make a set of values that you are going to adhere to, come what may. And if somebody says there's a shortcut to success, don't believe him. It's all fake. There's no shortcut to success. So that's point number two. I'll also like to say is that don't run after money. Money is not everything, because as they say, there's something in life which money can never buy. So don't run after money. Money will come automatically. So it should be the other way around. Make a name for yourself, or make yourself so good that money will chase you instead of you chasing money. Um, Another point that I love talking to younger generation is uh, don't compare yourself with others. Run your own race. So you are unique by yourself. Don't forget that. So you can have multiple icons to kind of borrow nuggets from, but don't copy somebody. Never try to copy someone that he has done this. I'll also do the same. Maybe it could yield result momentarily, but it's not going to kind of always result in success for you. So don't copy, run your own race. I'll just give you an example. Talking about running your own race, Barack Obama became president when he was 47 years and some 169 odd days old, as the 44th president. And the next president who succeeded him, Donald Trump, was 70 years old when he took charge. And now the next president, Joe Biden, is going to be 78 years old. So if you are going to run the race that I want to become president, now I don't know where Barack Obama and Donald Trump and Joe Biden would have been, say 20 years ago. Nobody would have imagined that Barack Obama has been president twice and now he's leading a retired life, whereas Joe Biden is just going to get inaugurated in 20 days time from here. So run your own race. That's the point I'm going to stress on. And the last point that I'm going to talk about, it's almost time, is be grateful always and never lose humility. That's going to be such an important factor. I think younger generation needs to imbibe is be grateful. Be grateful for everything that you have, and whatever whoever whatever does to you, be grateful always and never to lose humility. The arrogance, the brashness can stay here for maybe momentarily, but it's not going to help you if you burn bridges. So never to lose humility, be humble and stay grateful. That's it.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thanks a lot, Sabyasachi. It's time, and it was wonderful speaking to you and listening to some subtle, very I would not use the word important. I would say they're critical points which you've shared, and I'm sure it's going to be of great help. Not just for the future generation, but even for the current generation, because I'm sure a lot of people who might probably miss the subtle points which you have explained it so well. Thank you for that. And for all the viewers, I would like to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this session. And I'm sure you would have, found it very, I would say, interesting, and you would have had your own takeaways, which is pretty important. The next session, we would certainly, catch up with one another leader and also hear from his perspective. And you can expect specific video on demographic dividend coming shortly from our end. Thank you, friends, and have a great evening. Thank you, Sabyasachi.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Venkatesh. It was an honor, and I was so happy sharing thoughts with you. You have been too good. You have knowledge. You are a real a learned man, man of integrity, man of value. It's been a honor sharing my thoughts with you. And thanks to all listeners once again.
Thank you, thank you, thanks a lot, friends.
Thanks a lot.